So it's not completely out for Ammel. Ammel does look like he has a pretty good shot to maybe do something if QXC completely fails and all of his vulture harasses, and if QXC just plays far too defensively, and it looks like he's just kind of suiciding a couple of these vultures in. Might get some kills actually, nevertheless. Definitely going to get a zealot, but they're just cheap, efficient units, still able to run out and get a little bit accomplished there. He's also going to be able to knock that observer off the front door, which again should help with that, with those vulture harasses. One thing QX needs to do is, it looks like he's got several idle SCV right now. He's kind of stacking up at his main and his natural secondary. He needs to stay on top of those to maintain this advantage, to keep that sealed. And checking out that third, not seeing anything there. I'm not sure if he realizes that's at the 1 o'clock, and it looks like he's trying to sneak through the main. And I think yeah, he just needed to swing back a little bit earlier actually and get the probe kills, the free probe kills that he can to the south. And this is actually critical as well. Ammel's not really running at additional bases like he needs to. Another kind of check to the north, and a defensive Reaver, interestingly enough. Ammel really needs to get these geysers down sooner rather than later, because he needs to get High Templar out, he needs to get those Arbiters out, he needs to get that higher level tech to really win this match. It looks like he does have a Citadel of Dune, he does have that Templar Archives, but without that second out, without that third gas, he's really not going to be able to do anything with it. Looks like QXC is moving out with a pretty sizable attack force, a little bit more vulture heavy than I think he needs to be. He needs to continue actually with more tanks. It looks like he's running at pretty vulture heavy right now. He's got 4 factories and only a single machine shop. Should probably mix that up. Looks like he's trying to cut off that 1 o'clock position, doing it from a good slot, killing several units, and I have no idea how Ammel's going to defend this to the north. It's going to be very difficult, very, very difficult, especially from this high ground slot comsat, just to make sure there aren't any Dark Templar. Going to be able to actually catch an observer as it's wandering in. A couple units to the south, and a lot of tanks starting to shove in. Looks like that Reaver also taken out without too much trouble. So several units coming from the south, and it looks like these tanks getting too spread out and no reinforcements coming in for QXC to continue this attack. So it looks like Ammel is going to be able to defend his main here. Going to lose a lot of his units to do so, and pulling his probes off the line. But because QXC not reinforcing, just finally getting the vultures out, having trouble macroing a little bit here, not able to get units out, it looks like this 1 o'clock base is going to be okay. And yeah, some zealots in the shuttle, but no additional siege tanks to really cause splash damage and to destroy anything. So it looks like this 1 o'clock base is going to get taken out. QXC is going to maintain advantage, and he's now taking that 9 o'clock as well, just to maintain that economic lead. Still in a pretty good slot, still a little bit light on the machine shops. Putting down some additional factories. Just like man cannot live on bread alone, Terran cannot live on vultures alone, and a lot of idle SCVs otherwise, which is just keeping Ammel a little bit more in this match than he would be otherwise. And Ammel actually giving the advantage right back to QXC. No second gas still. We are at 12 minutes in the match. He should definitely have a second. Well, he wants a third gas. Definitely needs to get some additional gas. A little bit of sneakiness here, trying to hide this probe to the south. Let's see. It looks like that vulture did in fact see it. Going to be able to kill it. So Ammel desperately trying to find some tech, some bases, trying to do something here, but it looks like QXC is continuing his reign of terror, continuing to just use that macroeconomic death grip. Unfortunately, not as advantageous as it could be, because yeah, a lot of idle SCVs, and again, still just 1 machine shop, but still has a lot of vultures, still is going to be able to work with that kind of that steady upgrade system that Terran is so famous for. Looks like he's got weapons 1 upgrading now. Don't see a second factory just yet. He's going to be at 3 bases long before Ammel's even at a second gas at this stage, and Ammel actually is in danger of just being flat contained, which I think is QXC's best bet actually, is clear some of these mines out, get a siege tank to the north, plant some mines to the north. Honestly, I might even build a counter wall right there. Just let him have the 3 bases while you take the rest of the map. Get a lot of siege tanks. It looks like he's putting out 2 additional machine shops. I'd almost recommend a couple more on top of that. Starport, I assume, for weapons 2. Maybe even get out a science vessel to deal with the arbiters. Look like they're coming along the way. Pretty sizable attack in the middle, and again, just not a lot of siege tanks out there in the field. Just looks like 4. It's mostly a vulture force versus dragoon, and not even with the weapons upgrade, and not with a lot of mines along the way, able to kill a lot of the vultures, but still it looks like QXC is going to lose this position right there in the front, just because he's with a much smaller composition army, just playing with light units, just straight vultures rather than vultures and tanks. to really support this fight. So it looks like Ammel is going to be able to break out of at least the contain. He still doesn't have a third base. It looks like he's going to try to take it to the north this second, which is going to be very exposed to vulture, well, a lot of those vultures that should be out there, and still all sorts of idle SCVs here for QXC, which is just giving Ammel more opportunities to stay in this match. Looks like some more Glaives being produced, and again, he just needs to pour out the siege tanks to stay in this. Looks like he's actually doing a decent job off 3 bases of keeping his resources fairly low. It looks, well, Ammel's doing the same, but he really doesn't have an option right now, just because he's at such a low economy, and really late arbiters now just about mined out of his main. His natural secondary is going to get thin really, really fast because it's about half mined. So he's going to have to do a lot off just 3 bases. The Vulture's able to sneak in, not anything there, but again, yeah, they can plant some mines, maybe even take down that nexus before reinforcements are able to really push through, and that's a huge minefield. Again, I'm kind of wondering where the army is at right now. For QXC, it looks like he's at 124 supply, but the majority of that is in SCVs, and the majority of those SCVs are idle. So it's really not working out for QXC having this economic advantage. He's not really able to kind of put the pressure on. It's kind of like if you have the positional advantage, if you have if you're the aggressor, if you have the advantage, you want to press it. Right now he's not really able to press that advantage that he has, basically being at 3 bases versus essentially a 1 base, soon to be 2 base protoss player. Again, still just not a lot of siege tanks. Looks like most of the troops he has out in the field are kind of in a defensive position, and it looks like he's finally getting some of those SCVs pressed out there. It looks like he's soon to be at 2 bases, but right now, yeah, a lot of Dragoons and a lot of Zealots, and I honestly feel like QXC might be in danger of losing this match just because he doesn't have a lot of defensive units. Fortunately for him, it looks like Ammel's kind of suiciding into his minefield out on the front door and giving QXC some time to kind of build this up. But if there's some more speed Zealots mixed in here, maybe even an Arbiter, might be a different match altogether. Ammel might be able to press through this. Actually, still might be able to. Let's see how long that Arbiter's about halfway finished, and if QXC doesn't get some troops on his front door, this could be very close. It looks like he does have some troops to the north, but he needs to get them in the fight rather rapidly, and Dragoon's actually hitting them from the north. It looks like getting sieged rather. Oh, that's devastating, actually. Siege to the north. A probe just sitting there waiting. Wants to plant a nexus there. Is not going to be able to for quite some time. Still no additional gas planted, and again, that gas is going to be absolutely key for Ammel. Going to need to actually get a forge or an observer out there. A forge and a cannon, I should say, or an observer out there. Let's see if he just plops down a single cannon. Yeah, it's going to plop down that cannon, try to clear that up. Looks like QXA now able to get some tanks. He's going to start moving out this Dragoon force to the north. Looks like some Dragoons, some Zealots able to clear a couple of these mines and things here to the south, but it's still 2 base versus 2 base. That's still going to put QXC in theory ahead. Some Vultures now moving out towards that northern base. It looks like they're going to have to back off because the Dragoons probably not going to want to push their way through that cannon, but still planting mines, and the Dragoons running headlong through that minefield, getting absolutely worked. Looks like one of those Dragoons trying to suicide its way in. Looks like that cannon's going to get taken out, and a single mine and a single Dragoon dragging in, killing the majority of those Vultures, which is actually going to do Ammel's work for him. He's now got that nexus clear if he can get a probe up there, but QXC switching right back around. Looks like he has Weapons 1 upgrading, probably Weapons 2 somewhere along the way. Just started Weapons 2 not too long ago. Still a lot of idle SCVs. A couple science vessels being built. Has more of the, it looks like he is producing some more siege tanks. I would still like to see another machine shop plop down there, maybe even a couple more factories, but he's just about at max supply, and he's going up against a Protoss army that is nowhere near max, so he should be able to roll this over, especially with Weapons 1 versus no weapons upgraded. The one thing though is again, I wonder how much of this army is SCV really, and it looks like another machine shop, or I'm sorry, another command center being built. It just doesn't seem like a 200 Terran army to me, just in size or composition. So Ammel might